Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into an epic track battle between three German titans. We're talking raw rear-wheel drive power versus super smart all-wheel drive tech and a nimble mid-engine challenger. It's a clash of engineering philosophies, really, and only one can come out on top. Let's find out which one it is.
Okay, so let's break down who we've got in the ring, because each one is a masterclass in a different kind of horsepower. First, the BMW M2, just bringing the muscle with that huge twin-turbo six-cylinder. Then you've got the Audi RS3 with its legendary scrappy five-cylinder turbo and that clever all-wheel drive. And then the wild card, a modified mid-engine Porsche Cayman. Three completely different engines, three completely different ways to go fast. Who's your money on?
All right, first up to the plate is the Porsche Cayman. Now, this isn't some top-of-the-line GT model. It's actually a base 2-liter car that's been tuned up and has a bunch of aftermarket bits on it. It's our underdog, and its job today is to lay down a lap time for the other two to chase.
Right out of the gate, the driver is loving the balance of the car. I mean, that's just the magic of a mid-engine setup, right? But as he starts to really push it, a major weakness starts to show itself, and it's a problem that could totally tank its lap time.
And there it is, the time to beat. The Cayman clocks a 50.59. You know, that's a seriously respectable benchmark, especially for a car that we know has a pretty big handicap. The challenge has officially been set.
So here's the deal with the Cayman. The chassis is just brilliant, but its drivetrain is really letting it down. That tuned four-cylinder engine has some pretty noticeable turbo lag. And worst of all, it doesn't have a limited slip differential. That means coming out of a corner, one wheel can just spin away uselessly, wasting power. The car is fast, for sure, but man, it could be so much faster.
Okay, next up is the Audi RS3. This is the only all-wheel drive car here, and its 5-cylinder engine is, on paper, way down on power compared to the BMW. You'd think it doesn't really stand a chance, but this is where things get really interesting.
The driver's reaction after just one warm-up lap? He is completely shocked. He's got this huge grin on his face, which kind of tells you the spec sheet isn't the whole story here. Something special is about to go down.
Let's just put this into perspective for a second. The RS3 is down a massive 80 horsepower to the M2. On a racetrack, that's a gigantic gap, something that's almost impossible to make up. Just keep that number in your head, 80 horsepower. And yet, somehow, it pulls out an absolutely incredible sub-50-second lap. The RS3 completely smashes the Cayman's time and puts some serious pressure on the M2. This is a huge upset in the making.
So how on earth did it make up that huge power deficit? Well, two things really. That incredible, one-of-a-kind 5-cylinder engine giving instant response, and a truly phenomenal all-wheel drive system that just clawed at the track, letting him carry unbelievable speed through the corners. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't smooth, it was aggressive, but it was brutally effective. With the Audi throwing down that blistering time, the pressure is now squarely on the most powerful car here today. The BMW M2 has to defend its title as the top dog, and it's going to need an absolutely perfect lap to do it. I mean, that quote says it all, doesn't it? The M2's massive 6-cylinder engine is just sending brutal power to the rear wheels, which makes it a constant fight for grip. It's insanely fast, but it demands total precision, total focus from the driver. You make one little mistake, and this thing will bite you. And he does it. The M2 just squeaks past the Audi, taking the win by less than 1/10 of a second. An unbelievably close finish after a lap that was right on the absolute ragged edge. So, in the end, raw power won the day. That beast of an engine in the M2 just overpowered the faster sections of the track, giving it that tiny advantage it needed. But it was not easy. It took a perfect on-the-limit lap to turn all that power into a victory. So the stopwatch tells one story, but it's definitely not the whole story. Let's break down the numbers, both what the clock says and what the driver felt, to see where each car really truly shined and where they didn't. I mean, just look at how close those final times were. The gap between the winning M2 and the RS3 was just 0.09 of a second. That is nothing. And meanwhile, the Cayman, even with its handicap, was only about a second off the pace. That's an incredible performance. But these subjective scores, this is where the story gets fascinating. The M2's engine got a perfect 10. No surprise there, it's a monster. But look at handling. The Audi also scored a perfect 10, which is just a huge testament to its incredible engineering. And you can see the Cayman's weakness right here. Its tuned engine only gets a 5 out of 10. So what's the big takeaway from this incredible showdown?
Well, the M2 took the victory on the stopwatch, but you could easily argue that the RS3 completely stole the show.
The really crucial point here is this. The M2's massive engine made it the winner on paper, but the RS3's performance was the true revelation of the day. It wasn't just fast, it was so unbelievably good that it totally changed what the driver thought was possible for an Audi. And yet, despite the Audi's absolutely incredible showing, when the driver was asked which car he'd actually take home, he chose the BMW M2. That raw, engaging, powerful driving experience just won him over. It's the car that gives you the biggest challenge, but also the biggest reward.
So it all comes down to a really fundamental question about what you want from performance. Do you go for the champion, the car with the raw power to set the fastest lap time? Or do you go for the innovator, the one that used brilliant engineering to deliver the biggest surprise of the day? Brute force versus brilliant execution. Which one would you park in your garage?